Yo, people, welcome back. London's Club Carnage. That's right. You got the new intro. You got the new artwork. You got the same usual casting crew. Do you know what I mean? Lee Gunner, how are you doing today, boss?
I'm good, man. I'm good. That intro's sick, by the way.
Proper. Thank you. Yeah, we got it.
Man.
Only the best for this team. Do you know what I mean? And you was on the stream last night, and obviously we're gonna get extended thoughts. And Tottenham Tobs, how are you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm not sure if you saw some of my comments, but I was actually tuned into your stream last night. Yeah. So I was tuned in. I saw Dams crying his eyes out about Chelsea, etc.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a period where you lot were talking about Lampard, and I literally put in the comments, Lampard out. Like, he ain't got the bottle, he ain't got the minerals, but we'll get into that.
100%. I mean,
man's coming with that energy today, Tobes.
It is, man. It's vindication, because I've been telling Matisse this for months. I've been saying to Matisse and all the Chelsea fans that it's a false dawn, it's a facade. You're not that good. Don't get lost in the sauce. Don't get lost in the fact that you lot have bolstered this team, because with Frank Lampard, you will never go far. And we spoke about this on the Big Six a couple of weeks back, where we were I think the whole team were trying to say to Matisse, basically, are you Lampard in or out? And he was saying he's still in firmly. He's not one of these fans who are going to turn on the manager and whatnot. But boy, I doubt that. I doubt he's got that same stance today. I doubt he's got that same stance. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, people, it's honestly last 12, 24 hours has been peak. I mean, that performance against Leicester was dreadful. Performance against Fulham was dreadful. And on top of that as well, I think what clicked in my head was the fact that, again, we had the 2 weeks off during the FA Cup with the Morecambe game, and Lampard spoke about it in his quotes, the 2 weeks off to work on the training ground, and they come back, and if I'm honest, I didn't see no progression. All I see is regression. And the other caveat to that is that he doesn't have the experience to get himself out of this mess for me. That's the issue. I think he will be a great manager one day, but that might be in 5-10 years time with experience under his belt. I'm looking at that coaching staff, which I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, in terms of very inexperienced. It feels like everybody's learning at the same time. You know, I wanted a person like Steve Holland brought in that experience to maybe guide them through the tougher times, but they've got a very inexperienced coaching team. And you see on that bench yesterday, they're just looking around. They don't really know they don't really know what to do. Do you know what I mean? Jody, as much as I love Jody was talking all the big talk last season, going head to head with Jose Mourinho on social and whatnot. Now, brother's got nothing to say. Do you know what I mean? I don't see no love and guidance from Jody. I don't see nothing. I don't see no new ideas. And I think what really, really disappointed me with all of this is that Lampard obviously is he's working off of his playing experience. He worked under Jose. I was very surprised not to see a more pragmatic approach in this bad run at some point. We've just kept trying to do the same thing over and over again. I get the stubbornness, but that usually comes with experienced, and also it's usually Italian managers, but experienced managers who have got their system on point from a decade years of experience. Do you know what I mean? And for me not to see a pragmatic approach where maybe, okay, you've got no Kante available against Leicester. Let's not get dragged in transition over and over again. Let's maybe go a bit deeper, play a counter attack. I don't know. Let's try and tweak our game to try and get ourselves through the run. You've got Bundesliga players that are suited to the counter and whatnot. And they, you're not trying that. You've got a goalkeeper in Silva who can command the box, so you can afford to sit a bit deeper. I'm seeing Mateo Kovacic playing lone DM. As soon as that lineup went out, midfield dynamics were wrong. I see Mateo Kovacic playing DM. I'm thinking to myself, we're going to get absolutely abused and mistreated in transition. It's going to be peak, and that's exactly what happened. What did you make of the game, Toby? Because obviously Lee was on yesterday with Dammy watching us cry. Toby, what did you make of it? Because tactically, I just thought that midfield, I mean, any midfield would have been peak, but that was mad.
I felt like you lot were just toothless, man. It's weird. You got all this firepower, you got all this cash, all these stars, and you're just so toothless. Like, I can go back to Everton. In fact, I can go back to Leeds. Leeds, when you lot won 3-1, was the last time I've actually seen you play well for 90 minutes. The last time I've seen you play well for 90 minutes. Since then, it's just been awful performances. And it's not all on Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard needs to go, because fundamentally, he's making mistakes in the lineup, which I don't understand. Like, let me actually look at the lineup yesterday. Like, yesterday as well, I get it. Kante can't play every game. We've seen the consequence of what happens when you play Kante literally every game. You don't give him rest. He's fell out of form in recent weeks. And really and truly, you've got no one else who can sort of play that position apart from Jorginho or Kovacic. And it's understandable why he doesn't want to play Jorginho there, because we've seen what happens when Jorginho goes away from home and plays that sort of lone anchor role. Me personally, I thought he was going to line up in a 4-2-3-1 with Mason Mount sort of like next to Kovacic. But I just felt yesterday as well, Havertz, complete passenger. It was basically wasting possession by giving him the ball. Like, he did nothing good with it. I felt that the way you set up as well, like, you didn't even play through the middle. Everything, all the traffic going out wide, cross city, and it was easy for Leicester to deal with it as well. Callum Hudson-Odoi as well. I know we've been asking for him to start. He didn't really get much of the ball. He didn't play well yesterday, but he didn't really get much of the ball. Pulisic as well. I think he's been poor for the last couple of weeks. A lot of people aren't mentioning it. I think he's been so bad. His use of the ball, I feel like he did well to get that free kick at the edge of the area, but otherwise it was just a drab performance from Chelsea. And then defensively as well, Reece James, you could tell it was his first game back. It showed, switching off at the back post for Maddison to come in for the second goal. Rudiger, I don't even know where he's come from. He was casted out at sea a couple months ago, and rightly so, because he played like a slapped arse last season. He was absolutely diabolical last season, and yet he's starting games over Zuma, a big game like this, away to a side like Leicester, who by all accounts are firmly in the race for top four and possibly the title as well. So all in all, I think it was a disaster class of a performance. And the worst thing I can say is that not once did you look like you could lay a glove on Leicester. Like, Leicester didn't even have to get out of second gear to beat you. I thought they did their job defensively, and they were threatening offensively. And at any given moment in that second half, they could have made it 3-0, they could have made it 4-0, and there was nothing you could do about it.
I mean, once they took that early goal lead, I knew it was fucked, because I said to myself, what? And I spoke to Sam Martin, the Leicester fan, in the preview. I said to myself, what did Leicester want? They want to be able to hit us on the break. They got Vardy up front. You know, they want to be able to hit us in transition. And as soon as they take the lead, we have to come out. We have to start trying to play a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more forward, and leave spaces in behind. And we saw it, you know what I mean? Vardy was offside for the goal, but that was just a sign of Leicester just getting more and more attacking influence in the game. Lee, my bro, bloody hell, man. we're sitting pretty alongside each other now in the dumps. What's going on?
Yeah, you might have to change. You might have to change the guests up now or something, man, because like we might need some West Ham fans in the building because they're flying high, bro. You know what I'm saying? Me and you might as well just dip. Tob, it's your time to shine now. Do you know what I mean? But bro, I can't lie. I'm not. I said this to you last night. I'm not one to sit and mug off other teams, bruv, because my team are dead. But I can't lie. Like, your lineup last night was just. I know Werner. It's been a case of finding Timo, and all them ones have been going around the internet. But why didn't you start him in that game? That game and that game last night was the perfect game for Werner, because you know that Leicester are going to dominate in terms of. Going forward, they're going to try and go forward. Yeah, they're not going to always dominate possession. I don't even think they did. I think they had 40% last night, didn't they? 43%, 33%, something like that. They had when it came up on the graphic, and I was like, "Rah!" But you know, the one thing that Leicester will do is they will try and have a go at you, and that's where you then leave your Werner on the halfway line, yeah, and try and get them balls in behind, like they were trying to do with Vardy. I was shocked when I see Kai Havertz in the team as well. Like, I think Kai Havertz is a very good footballer, but when you're going to Leicester, bruv, right, and they got a chance to go top of the table with the quality they have in midfield, there's no way you could be playing with Kai Havertz, who's dropped a stinker in nearly every away game he's played. Yeah, you can't be doing that. Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier about your coaching staff being very inexperienced. The manager's inexperienced, the coaching staff are inexperienced, and then you've got 7 new players, 8 new players, whatever it may be, that you're trying to shoehorn them in just because they're big names and you spent big money on them. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster, bruv. And if your owner and your ball don't get rid of him now, trust me, you're going to finish even lower than you are this season. Right, as it stands now, I think you're 8th, 9th. I reckon you could go outside the top 10 if it carries on, because some of them players don't look like they can be bothered, bruv.
With Timo Werner, I have to disagree. I mean, I was actually okay with Tammy Abraham starting. The reason why I disagree on Timo Werner is that even though I get tactically what you're saying in terms of it making sense for him to get him behind, he's not even been doing the basics recently. He can't finish. First touch has been poor, and he's shot for confidence. So he's not, we talk about Leicester, it's a massive game where, you need big players to stand up. I don't see that in Timo Werner right now. He can, become a great player for Chelsea, no doubt. If he, I think he's got the mentality to get through it. Tactically over pre-season, we'll see if they can change things around to suit his game a little bit more. We don't know who the manager will be as well. But for me, in terms of Timo Werner right now, I would not have ever started him in that game. So I don't think he's in the form. I don't think he's not going to put the ball in the back of the net. And I have to, with the coaching situation, I mean, like you said, everybody seems to be learning at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Petr Cech's just coming in his role as well. And it's too many people trying to learn how to get through a freak season, the most difficult circumstances we've ever had really in the Premier League that I can remember. And you've got the most inexperienced people, trying to deal with it. It's difficult enough for your Klopps, your Guardiolas, your Mourinhos. We've seen them drop points. We've seen Aston Villa smack them up 7-2. We've seen, the lowest points tallies for probably the title winning team for me this season is ever going to be. However, we're also seeing now that for me, the table will get itself back to where it should be in terms of, the teams that you expect to be at the top will get themselves back to be that position at the end of the season. And for me, with Lampard, it's a situation where he's not learning from his mistakes. We're seeing the same things over and over again. It's not even just to blame him, but like I said, the players don't seem to be playing for him. And we know when it comes to the chopping block, you can't get rid of a whole squad. You get rid of the manager. That's always the way it's going to be, no matter what sentiments involved, no matter how much you love the guy, no matter how much he gets the club. At the end of the day, I've always said this, Chelsea have to make Champions League with the team that they have. With the project that they're on. People speak about the project. The project was last season, you had a free season. He overachieved. This season was to hit top 4. That's my expectation. Because I'm balancing out the fact that it's a freak season, but also that we have a better playing squad than we would have had if we finished outside the top 4. So when you balance it all out, we should be minimum getting top 4 this season. And I can't say with confidence that this manager will get it with the experience that he has under his belt. Toby, where would you have ranked him at, in the league of managers, being honest? Because I've always said that I don't think you can't really claim Lampard as a top 8 coach. So how can you expect him to finish in the top 8 position? Do you know what I mean? With all the coaches that are better than him, when you look at where Chelsea are in the league, who they got a leapfrog. There's not many teams you can say they can leapfrog on paper with the coach.
Yeah, it is with Lampard. I don't hate the guy, but for me, he got the job. He didn't get the job because of his managerial prowess. He got the job because he's a Chelsea legend. Let's be real. He's not. He's nowhere near good enough to be the Chelsea manager, and it shows by his resume. It was a job that was way too big for him. But he did what on paper he did well last year. But I feel like because on paper he got top 4 and went to a cup final last year, it seems as if it was a really good season for Chelsea. But when you actually look beneath the surface, your form was downright abysmal from pretty much December 2019 onwards. Like, you were so up and down. I know you got a couple good results against us, against Leicester, etc. But your form was just in the league. You couldn't win even 2 or 3 games straight. You dropped silly points left, right, and center. I think last year was like the lowest year in a long time that the lowest amount of points tally that it's taken to get into the top 4. It just puts into perspective how poor he was last year. And I feel like the fact that you got top 4 covered up a lot of cracks. And this season as well, if you're asking me on rankings, where do I think he's at in the league in terms of managerial quality? I think Nuno's better than him. I think Ralph Hasenhüttl was better than him. I think Chris Wilder's better than him. I think Jose Mourinho's better than him. I think Pep Guardiola's better than him. Jurgen Klopp is better than him. Who's the Everton manager? Carlo Ancelotti's better. Brendan Rodgers, much better.
It would have been quicker just to say every manager in the league, bro.
Like, big man thing about 60-70% of the managers, 60-70% of the managers are in the league are better than him. And I'm looking in the comments, there's some guy writing in caps saying he got top 4 and did the double over Jose. This Spurs fan is trolling. I don't rate Jose Mourinho. He's managing Chelsea. He's managing
a trophy for that then.
Yeah, this is where I see the standards dropping. We're managing. This is Chelsea Football Club at the end of the day, and I don't mean to say that in terms of a person with no patience, because I have the patience for a project, but the project has to. I keep saying, and I had to argue with someone on a podcast yesterday. The project doesn't live and die by Frank Lampard, because the project is clear. We're trying to bring in attacking players. We're trying to put ourselves in a situation where we play better football. We're trying to put ourselves in a situation where we can sustain our level at the top and not just be this yo-yo team that keeps sacking managers. 100%, I'm down for a project. I'm down for taking time to work on systems and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I had so much patience with Sarri, because I could see, despite the heavy defeats, we were trying to play a certain way. But in terms of this season and in terms of the project under this manager, what are we backing? Because he's got 1 year left on his contract after this season, and if we're being honest, he doesn't have the you talk about coaching knowledge and comparisons with the rest of the teams, and we talk about Klopp all the time and how Liverpool gave him time. Klopp had decade plus experience in Germany before he even touched Liverpool. Klopp had won things before he even touched Liverpool. So we're talking about a manager who hasn't even got that decade of experience, and we're trusting him with a project with all of these young players that need to develop, your Kai Havertz, your Timo Werners, that we've spent big money on. And really, he doesn't have the coaching experience to guarantee that he's going to be able to reach the level that we need to, because Chelsea are progressing. There's checkpoints. The players need to progress, the young players, but also the young manager needs to progress. And I've seen Mason Mount probably progress more than Lampard this season. You look at Lampard's stats in terms of a manager, I think he sits bottom for win ratio at Chelsea. That's mad. That's mad.
It's weird as well, because last year, the credit I'll give him is that against some of the bigger sides, with the exception of that Man United, with the exception of United, and even those games he played well. Like, I don't think he did too bad against the bigger sides. Like, he beat Pep Guardiola at Stamford Bridge last year. He did the double over Jose Mourinho. I can't remember what the score was against Liverpool. Yeah, you lot lost 2-1 to Liverpool, but we all watched that game. Chelsea were the better side over 90 minutes, and if you were taking your chances, you would have won. We saw you in the Super Cup again, the 2-2, you would have won. So it's not even like I'm saying this just because I hate Chelsea, but I do hate Chelsea. Of course, I hate Chelsea, but I'm looking at the team now, and I'm like, they're not a good side. They may have good individuals. They have a brilliant squad, but they're clearly not a good side. Like, when the going gets tough, when you play someone with the smallest bit of quality, you crumble. And the way in which you attack sides, I feel like it's far too mishmash. Like, there's only one. It's weird. You have all these technicians, all these creative forces in your team, but yet your only route of scoring goals is literally get the ball out wide to the fullbacks and cross it in the box. I don't understand it. You bought Kai Havertz for 72 million, but yet all of the creativity is going through the middle. And it's no coincidence as well yesterday. I mean, going out wide. It's no coincidence that yesterday, the one time you split Leicester through is through vertical passes through the middle.
You get the penalty.
Yeah, exactly. That should have got a penalty. I think it was Kovacic to either Mount or Havertz, and then Havertz into Callum Hudson-Odoi. That's the way it should be. The wingers either getting the ball near the touchline or making a run inside the box, and the midfielders trying to pick out that run. I feel like with Chelsea, it's so predictable. It's ridiculous. Like, you have all these tools at your disposal, and yet you only have one way of scoring against teams. They're gonna suss it out, bro. They're gonna suss it out.
People speak about and obviously Lee jumping in soon as well. People speak about the level of playing style at Chelsea, and obviously what is the identity and all these things. And I have no problem too much with the cross and hope situation, because I saw Liverpool do a lot of crossing in their game. But I feel like they're with the players that we've bought, there should be more to it than that. 100%. I agree with what Toby's saying. People say, one, do Chelsea have a lot of deadwood? They have a lot of deadwood underneath in the peripherals of the squad. But again, we've had a massive squad overhaul. So when we're talking about mentality and we're talking about players not playing for the manager last night and down in tools, and we need to look at them doing the basics, 100%. But half of that team, and most of that team is his team, because most of it is the youth coming through Cobham and then the new signings. There's only like your Rudigers, who I don't get how he's come from 5th choice to start in and now reliable in a tough period. You've got your Keppers, your Marcus Alonso's, but most of them are on the peripherals of the squad. Most of the team is Lampard. So when the team mostly becomes yours, and Roman, I'm sure the board, everyone will agree with this point, when you get your players and most of the team becomes yours, you have to take more responsibility than you did previously for the team. When it was someone else's team, like last season, and it was Williams, and it was Pedro's, and half of the team was baked, and it wasn't yours, and it was, you know, coming towards the end of his time, and that's cool. But when you've brought in all these players, and we all said in the summer, you know, Lampard's been backed with all of his targets, well, then that means now you have to take more responsibility. So if the mentality is wrong, that's on you, because they're your players. Do you see what I'm saying? This question coming in here saying, well, this statement saying only worry with a new manager is that the progress made bringing in people from the academy, etc. I mean, when you speak about that, that just means we need to target the right man. Don't get, for me, an Allegri. Go and get a manager that still brings through youth, still, you know, wants to play progressive attacking football, but at the same time has more experience. And you're going to, for me, then that's a good transition from on the same project. That's a good transition from where we are. Lee, what do you make of the worry? Because, you know, this person's saying that they're worried about a new manager kicking out, you know, scrapping and changing everything.
Sentiment killed my football club, bruv. I said this last night. Sentiment, it kills football clubs. Keeping Arsene Wenger for a decade too long because of what he did before. You know, Mesut Ozil, oh, but he was the assist king. Oh, look at what he's done for the club. We've finally terminated his deal. We've seen it with other players over the, like, oh, give it to Freddie Ljungberg, give it to Freddie. I know he was only interim and that, but, you know, sentiment can very easily, quickly kill your football club. If this was any other manager at Chelsea other than Frank Lampard, the club legend, he would have been sacked because your fans would all be going mad. Yeah, it's sentiment, bruv. And at the end of the day, if a manager can, like, you know, that was a good question that person posted. But let's be honest here. Who are you going to put a right back over Reece James? Let's be real. Who are you going to put in the team over Mason Mount? No one. He's your best player at the moment and has been for weeks. Who are you going to put in the team over Hudson-Odoi? You know, there's three of your youth teamers there that are guaranteed to get in squads week in, week out. You know, and they might not start every game, but they're going to be in them squads every single week. For me, looking at your team, I just think if you had a better manager in charge, somebody that is experienced, that has had experience at the highest level as a manager or a coach, maybe not in this country, maybe other countries as well, but you'll start flying up that table. You'll start seeing the best of Kai Havertz and Timo Werner. You know, Ziyech last night was a joke. Absolutely embarrassing performance from him last night. You know, people won't say much about him because he's been brilliant since he's joined. He disappeared last night. As soon as the pressure stuck on him, he just folded, bruv, disappeared. You know, and I know he's probably the least of your worries, but it still has to be mentioned, you know?
Yeah. The only player that played well yesterday for me was Mason Mount. That's the only person I've seen.
Again, he's been the best player for weeks. He's the one that, even against us when we played you, he was the only one who looked like he wanted it, bruv. And that was weeks ago, you know?
I thought Kovacic was okay yesterday as well, but
I thought like Kovacic's responsibility yesterday was something that he couldn't handle, which was to basically sit in midfield and defend the back four. And we know Kovacic is better when he's able to roam, dribble, and advance in midfield. He's more of a ball progressor. And the fact that he was it's like playing Ndombele at sitting midfield, like lone DM, like that's nuts.
If you can't get a manager to come in, right, and get a tune out of that squad, then they shouldn't be a manager, bro.
And this is what I wanted to make a point, because a lot of people say it's not just Lampard's fault. I completely agree. It's not all his fault, in my opinion. And this is why when Lee said yesterday that we would walk the league, I didn't agree with that, like, completely. I feel like our playing squad is way better than it is. You look at where we are in the league. You look at who's above us in terms of Leicester. You look at what they've got in their squad. You can't tell me that all Brighton and players like this, do you know what I mean, are better than the players that we have. So clearly there's a difference in terms of playing level, but they've got a more experienced coach. You look at Brendan Rodgers, and we speak about with Jody Morris, Joe Edwards, in terms of their inexperience. And yes, we've seen Brendan Rodgers came through the same system, but the difference is with him is he's got the experience. He's got the Liverpool experience. He's got the Celtic experience. Gerrard, you see, going to Rangers, getting his experience, being smart about it. John Terry working under Dean Smith, getting his experience. Even Mikel Arteta is probably got more know-how at this point, to be honest, because he worked under Pep all those years. But people making excuses. I saw reviews last night, and 100% this team, 100% get the points. This team lacks a lot of character, lacks a lot of leadership. You know, I didn't really see, I don't want to make it as plain as this, but I didn't see no bastards on that pitch yesterday. I just saw a lot. I felt like it was very much an Arsenal coming towards the end of its time under Wenger, very soft team, lack of physicality, lack of mentality, you know, no real grit to get themselves through hard times, which is why I don't really see things turning around, because not only the inexperience of the manager, but also the playing squad They don't really have those characters that you look to, that we compare with the old teams where we talk about Conte coming in and storming in, but he had the Gary Cahills, the John Terrys, the Azpilicuetas in his prime, the Fabregas, the Diego Costa. We don't have those players in their prime. You look at Liverpool, they got players in their prime. We don't have the players in there. We don't have many players in their prime that are top characters. But in saying that, Chelsea should not be where they are just because they're missing a few things. People will say Chelsea don't have a DM. I completely agree. We don't have a natural DM. I wouldn't even call Kante a lone DM. I've never liked him as a lone DM. And I think we have a lack of depth there as well. And really only Billy Gilmore, who's very young and inexperienced, can come in there and play a similar role. But I'm not going to say Chelsea are down where they are because they don't have Declan Rice. For me, that is ridiculous. To say that Chelsea can't get themselves into the top 4 because they're missing one player in Declan Rice is, for me, absurd. You look at all these squads, how many times have we seen Man City, they won the league, De Bruyne was injured most of the season. Man City this season don't have any strikers, and they're still able, with no Aguero, no Gabriel Jesus, to adapt their game and get points on the board. If you're missing one player, that just means that you have to adapt. That shouldn't fuck up your whole damn plan and put you in mid-table. So,
and that's the sign, and that's what you call coaching.
Yeah,
that's the sign of coaching. The very best of coaches, they make do with what they got. They turn water into wine. They literally, their team don't really skip too much of a beat. Liverpool are still, a lot of people will get onto Liverpool now because their form has tailed off in recent weeks, but they've been without their best centre-back and the best centre-back in the planet for the whole season, basically. Yeah. They've been without
two CMs at centre-back.
Yeah, they've been without their 2 starting centre-backs for pretty much the whole season. They got their best right-back out of form. They've got now that they got their front 3 misfiring over the last month, and they're still there or thereabouts near the top of the table, even if the results ain't showing. And the thing is, the reason why I say this is because with Frank Lampard, yes, a lot of people will say, "Oh no, he always digs out the plays. He does always dig out the plays, and I don't like that. He does that, but something needs to be said about some of these players because they're underperforming. But ultimately, the buck stops with the manager. The manager is the one who sets these players out, who tells them how they need to play on the pitch, what they should do. And the manager is the one that's responsible ultimately for getting the result. So for me, I attribute blame to the manager. I attribute blame to the player. And when you're seeing not just the results, the performances, it's not even just the results. Fair enough. If you're losing and you're playing well, maybe you'd have a bit more leg to stand on. But like I said at the start of this stream, I haven't seen you lot play well since Leeds. Terrible performances.
Yeah. West Ham, we won. Poor performance. Fulham, we won. Those are the only 2 wins in this run. Poor performances. And West Ham at 1-0 up, poor. And Fulham the other day, you watched it. Dreadful.
Poor performances. And the thing is, the guy has all the excuses in the world saying, "Oh, I think the other day he was saying we don't have killers, that we don't have goal machines and assist creators." You literally just spent close to 200 million on goal machines and creators.
Yeah, the stats of last year,
the most productive teenager or the most productive young player in the Bundesliga, right next to Jadon Sancho for 72 million. You signed a striker who was getting 25 to 30 goals in all comps every season. You signed a winger who not just smashed the Eredivisie, because people say, "Oh, Eredivisie is a bum league." You saw this guy showing out in the Champions League. You saw what he did to Chelsea, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, and the bridge as well.
You're seeing all these players do their dirt, and yes, they're underperforming right now. Kai Havertz has been pants. I don't care about the COVID and stuff. I get it. He's got a grace period. It's not by us saying that. It's not us saying that. Oh yeah, he's a flop. But right now, he's been poor this season. But there's an argument to say he's not been used correctly. Ziyech started off the season like a house on fire. Since he's come back from injury, he's been pants. He was pants against Fulham, pants against Man City, and he was pants when he came on yesterday. Pulisic has been poor for weeks now. So many players are out of form. It's not just all on Frank Lampard, but the bottom line is a better coach gets more out of these players. It's that simple.
Yeah, bro. When you look at it, I said this last night to you, innit, Matisse? Yeah, I said it's all well and good saying, okay, we're not as good as Man City, we're not as good as Liverpool, etc., etc. You're better than West Ham.
Yeah,
and West Ham are 7th.
And Aston Villa are 3 points behind us with 4 games in hand.
4 games in hand, bro.
4 games.
Let me see the statistics. So Frank Lampard wants to cry over spilt milk and stuff. Like, you lot have conceded. You spent how much in your defense? You bought in Chilwell. You got Thiago Silva on a free transfer. You brought in the new goalkeeper. And you've conceded one goal less than the supposed Man United defense, which by all accounts,
since Lampard's been there, since the day he signed for Chelsea, from that day to yesterday, only Newcastle have conceded more goals away from home. That's embarrassing.
Exactly. And then you know what the most damning stat is that I like to reference: 65% possession yesterday, 9 attempts, 5 on target, 0 big chances created. Zero big chances.
This team, when it comes to creating chances from open play, this team has struggled for a hot minute. It's been, it's been a lot of, set pieces and crosses, and a lot of people have been saying, oh well, we need a lucky break here, or maybe we can get some, get a win here, and we can. No. Like I said, from the moment we had those 2 weeks, and if we had lost one game out of 2, but both performances had been completely way above what we've been seeing in previous weeks, I think I would still give him more time, because I'll be saying, okay, cool. The 2 weeks in training, I can see that you worked on something. I can see that there's been, there's real like a progression that's gone on, and I can see that you can coach this team. It's just maybe taking you longer to implement it than the more experienced managers, but you're going to get there in the end. But brother, the 2 performances in the last couple of days have been shambolic. Like, if you go and watch them back, it only gets worse. I promise you, it doesn't get any better. I've watched the Fulham game back. 11 men, they missed a gilt edge opportunity to make it 1-0.
Yep, they wouldn't have lost that game. They wouldn't have lost that game if they didn't go down to 10 men.
100%. We was getting skinned. Robinson on the left hand side was skinning Azpilicueta. I don't know how and why he's so stupid to get himself sent off. I know the guy from Wigan when he was playing with Reece James. He's a very good fullback. Why he got himself sent off in such a stupid position high up the field was absurd.
Right at the time as well. It was right on half time, wasn't it?
Right on half time. Changed the game. Because and funny enough, that was meant to change the game. So I'm thinking second half Chelsea are going to play better up against 10 men. Let's start seeing us dominate now. Brother, until Hudson-Odoi comes on 75 minutes, it's dead. It is like there's nothing there. And again, I'm not seeing these players, these so-called players that he was ringing up on the phone saying, come to Chelsea. I'm not seeing them play for him. I'm not seeing them really go all out. And I always said, not only do we have to make top 4, but these players will be here after the manager. Roman didn't splash all this money on these new players to then turn over the squad again. It's not going to happen, man. Like, it's not.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I remember, I liken it to the situation that we had last year. Obviously, it's not as severe as Pochettino's, because we were like 14th or whatever, even though we were only 3 points off 6th spot. But when things were going bad for us last year, Poch was the one that was getting the blame, and rightly so, because he was doing a lot of dumb things, not taking the likes of Dele Alli away to Leicester, bringing on Lamela when we're 4-1 down to Bayern Munich, and then us getting battered 7-2. He was making a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes. But the difference between Pochettino and Lampard is Poch has been in a rut at Spurs before, and he turned it around. Unfortunately, Daniel Levy decided mistakenly to get rid of him, which I didn't think was the good move. But the point I'm making is that when we were playing badly, Poch felt the wrath, because he's the manager. The onus is gonna fall on him to change things around. But it did not excuse us from the fact that Jan Vertonghen was under the decline. Alderweireld playing crap. Danny Rose playing awful. Harry Kane not playing at his best. Sonny not playing at his best. Ndombele not playing at his best. Lo Celso injured. All of these factors. So what I'm trying to say now is we've gone in on the manager. We know the manager is an issue and he needs to go. But more importantly, like you said, a new manager is going to come in and he's going to have to work with these players. And some of these players, fundamentally, they have to improve. Yeah. Timo Werner, you have to improve. Kai Havertz, you have to improve. Pulisic, you have to improve. Yeah? These players, you got to improve. It's that simple.
100%.
It really is. And 100%. You lot have too good a squad to be performing the way you are. It's just not good.
Yeah, that's my point.
It's not good enough.
100% the squad is lacking something, but like I said before, a squad always lacks something. There's always something you can improve on. There's always injuries and suspensions. You can make an excuse for any team in most seasons, you know. But at the end of the day, adaptation is part of management. You Google the word management, and adapting and figuring out, how to adapt to new situations and fix new problems is part of management. There's never going to be a time where Chelsea's team is fully fit and there's nobody, say even you do bring in this holding midfielder that people talk about. But what if he gets injured? What then? We can't adapt. We can't fix ourselves. We can't get ourselves sorted. There's always moments where you're going to be tried and tested in terms of your adaptation as a manager. And that's where, again, the experience lacks. And we have to be keeping it 100% real. 1 year's Derby experience, not working under anyone, by the way. This is leading the team. And then Chelsea coming in, very inexperienced coaching staff behind you, and then a freak season afterwards. It's no surprise really that he's not able to really get himself through this. And for me, it's clear as day. Lee, any final thoughts on it, bro?
I think Toby kind of covered everything, man. Like, at the end of the day, there is so many players out of form. But you have to play your way into form sometimes, man. And like Lampard's had periods when he was a player where he was out of form. Yeah, but he didn't get dropped because he kept getting told, "Yo, you're back in the team again. You're back in the team. I believe in you. I know you can get yourself out of this bad spell." Is he doing that with your players, or have they just given up? Like, and the thing with it is, it's like you've got about 60 players out on loan. Like, literally, there's about 58 or 60. Maybe you should loan Lampard out, bruv. Yeah, real talk. I'm not even taking the piss with it. Maybe you should loan Lampard out. Go and get some experience somewhere else for 2 or 3 seasons and come back. Because you ain't going anywhere with this guy.
It's going to take more than 2 or 3 seasons, in my opinion.
I know football can change real quick. He gets 3 or 4 wins in a row. All of a sudden, you're back up in the top 4. Yeah, and it can change very quickly, especially this season as well, with how condensed the league is right now. I just don't see where your next win's coming from, man. Like, I don't even know who your next game is, but I know you're going to struggle because half of them players couldn't care less, bruv.
I'm going to check it now. 1 sec.
You wait till Arsenal fans have their party. The "we've gone above Chelsea" trophy will be out, bruv, because that's going to come in the next couple of weeks when we overtake you.
Norwegian journalist Jan has tweeted about Tuchel. Agents and Chelsea representatives have been talking about bringing Tuchel in. I understand no decision has been made in terms of Lampard yet, but if he goes, Tuchel is seen as the best replacement in the middle of the season. I think with Tuchel, again, I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm Tuchel's biggest fan, but I definitely 100% have to agree it's an improvement. The brother's got experience. I don't know. I don't have a personal choice, so it's very hard for me to. At this point, like I said, I just go with whatever the board make. My options would have always been Carlo Ancelotti and Pochettino. None of them are available. Both of them have Premier League experience. Both of them have experience developing players, adapting to new systems in times of hardship as well, getting themselves through periods. And they don't combat. Big thing. They don't combat with the board as well, and they play good football. So they tick all the boxes.
Would you take Unai Emery?
No.
Chelsea fans want.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
The only reason I asked that is you've got a very young squad, right?
Yeah.
And let's be real. I actually think Unai Emery is a good manager, man. I actually think he's all right. It was just he couldn't speak the language, and that messed him up a little bit. But you've got a young squad, and when he was at Arsenal, he brought through some of the youngsters: Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli. They all made their debuts under Unai Emery. You've got a lot of players there that are your assets going forward. Like the Hudson-Odois and the Reece Jameses. They're your assets. You ain't going to get £60 million back on Havertz if he carries on doing what he's doing. Yeah. You are going to, however, get a massive profit on Mason Mount because he didn't cost you nothing. You are going to get a profit if somebody wants to buy Reece James for 50 million quid. Do you know what I'm saying? They're the ones that you've got to keep playing in the team to build another super team, because they're the ones that you can get rid of. If they do put good performances in, you get a mad bid. And that's why I said Emery, because Emery will play players like that. He will bring in another 2 or 3 out the reserve setup and put them in your team. 100%. Yeah. And he will get a better tune out of them players, trust me.
I think.
Go on,
yeah.
Sorry.
Out of all the managers on the market, I think Nilsman's probably my favorite out of the rest of them. Again, not pushing him too much, because again, I haven't watched some of these guys week in, week out to be commenting.
Who? Sorry? Who?
Neil Guzman.
Oh,
But
Nagelsmann, yeah.
Nagelsmann, sorry. But yeah, I would again, apart from the two that I've named earlier, the experienced boys, Poch and Carlo, I'm not pushing. So really, whatever the board go with, I'm just going to back it because they're going to do their homework, hopefully. But Tuchel's being linked. Obviously, Demba Ba's comments, 100%. That was a massive concern of mine. But again, I looked at what Chelsea are looking at in terms of management. They said that they're looking for a German speaker. And I think when you're bringing in players from the Bundesliga, you've got Pulisic as well from there as well. You're going
to for a German speaker to try and get the best out of the two. Bro,
you're
gonna
unbelievable. Soon you're gonna be telling us that they need. It's not that they need that West only diet just to accommodate the Germans.
Not that they need. Not that they.
Bro, man's already got his deck chair out with a towel on it and everything, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Not that they need a German speaker, but obviously I feel like the German managers know how to get the best out of those two players. Probably, I've seen a lot of them come out and speak.
Yeah, but Matisse, like with all due respect, anyone who's worth half their weight in management would get a tune out of both of them.
100%. That is what Chelsea. This is just from Chelsea
real talk. I don't like Arteta. I think Arteta's crap, bruv. Yeah, you guys know that. I don't want him. I'd sack him now. If Arteta had your squad, we'd be flying. Yeah, and I don't rate Arteta, but we'd be a lot higher up than 10th, or 9th, or wherever you are. Yeah, if he was your manager, Arteta, yeah, I still think his man management's dead. So it'd be very interesting to see how he'd handle so many big signings. But I still think if Arteta was your manager right now, based on what I've seen this season, I still think he'd be up in that top 4 quite comfortably. And Werner, albeit he has killed off Aubameyang a little bit, Werner would still be banging goals, bruv.
Nah,
because I think
the Werner one, though, I can't put that all on Lampard. We know that Lampard needs to use him better, but Timo Werner has legitimately missed gaping
1 yard out.
Yeah, and for me, it's the first touch. From the moment your first touch is off, that for me is not a manager thing. Now that's just the player. You know, you're in a serious run, and your concentration issues or whatever's going on there. But yeah. I can't blame a manager for a player's first touch not being on point at 24 years old in professional football. I can't do it.
I think with players like I actually agree with Lee on Unai Emery as well. I don't think he's a bad manager too. I just think he performed badly at Arsenal. I feel like with Unai Emery, you need a certain type of club for Emery who don't care about like your philosophy in terms of how you play football. Like someone like Nuno Espirito Santo now, like he's a quite pragmatic coach as well. It's like you lot hiring him to take the Chelsea job, even though it's been indicated by the players you signed that you want to play an expansive brand of football. So it just wouldn't work. Thomas Tuchel, on the other hand, I still have my reservations on how good he is at setting a team up defensively.
Yeah.
But in terms of you flying up that table, competing for it at the very minimum top 4 and playing that football, that nice expressive football that you want, he's definitely your man for that, for sure, 1000%. You've seen it at Dortmund, you've seen it at PSG. As a coach, he's talented. When it comes to getting the best out of his attacking players, especially, he's talented. So if that's
scored Lewandowski playing up front as a striker under him at Dortmund.
Yeah.
He had Aubameyang as well. He had like the football. Don't get me wrong. I remember he came to us and we beat them 3-1 in the Champions League one time. But we did it because we played on the counter and we literally tried to defend well. But in terms of the football that they played, it was fantastic. They played us off the park in the footballing sense, that in terms of pass, the way they kept possession, the way they were able to cut us open, they played us off the park. But we literally just hit them on the counter. And I feel like that's the only thing you have to worry about with Thomas Tuchel, his defensive prowess and whether he can be adaptable in certain situations and not go gung-ho. But I think in terms of getting the best out of your players, especially your German ones, playing a better brand of football and shooting high up that table, I think it's a no-brainer if he's available and you lot are trying to get Frank Lampard, get him in.
The quota seemed to be they wanted to go for a German manager and they wanted to go with someone with experience. So he ticks both of those boxes. I don't think they're going to go with Allegri, who's the other manager who's available. And then, for so many weeks, so another reason why I wasn't ready to part ways with Lampard is because I didn't know not only did I not know who I wanted, but there was no one available that I really wanted. But at this point, it's got to the point where we're just gonna keep free falling. We need to make top four. I don't see them getting themselves out of this mess because I just don't think they have the know-how or experience to do so. It's the first time. Yes, it's the first time they're going through this situation, which is not a good thing, by the way. A lot of people say it's the first time it's going through this situation. Give them time. I always make this comparison. If you're at work and you've got a 40-year-old who's got all that experience under their belt going up against a graduate in a freak situation, who's going to come out on top? Who's got the experience to sort out the situation quicker, put the puzzle together quicker? It's not about Lampard not being able to fix it, because again, I think he's got the potential as a coach in 5-10 years, but up against who he's up against in the league, other coaches, they know more than him. So you're not going to figure it out quick enough to place yourself in the table where it's respectable. Tuchel, I mean, like I said, I'm not completely convinced. It's going to be interesting to see as well if he does come in, how quickly he can get his team and system in place, because again, I think Chelsea, if they were going to do this, they really missed the trick of not doing it after the City game, 2 weeks with Morecambe in between. Then you have Fulham, which is, like I said, it should have been not a walkthrough, but it should have been with all the variables, COVID, Tottenham midweek. It should have been an easier fixture than it was, in my opinion, for a new manager to come into. And then you've got Luton as well this weekend, so you would have given them a little bit more time to sort themselves out. So like I said, at this point, I would just defend whoever the board go with. Someone said earlier that the board's choice is Lampard. Well, an athletic report from one of the most in the know journalists at Chelsea doesn't drop seconds after a Man City defeat for no reason. You don't get a crisis meeting, which is, by the way, true, a crisis meeting in the morning if everything's going swimmingly. So whether you're in, out, shake it all about, I think everybody can understand everybody's perspective at this point, because at this point, that manager is under serious pressure. I said it weeks ago. That's why I was trying to come up with solutions, whether you bring in a Steve Holland, etc., because he's not no joke. And we're not going to, one thing I said to Lee yesterday, I don't think this chairman's going to allow for, regardless of how the fans feel, the fans love Jose Mourinho. Board didn't care. They don't care about feelings. They're looking at, are you hitting your targets? Do you look like hitting your targets? Can I see progression or regression? They don't do this soppy shit. So that's why I've never been worried in terms of, emotions getting in the way of objectivity at Chelsea, because I don't think the board operate like that. And also, when you spend the money they've spent on these big players and you move the way they moved in that transfer window, and then you get no gate receipts as well, they want their Champions League money, 100%, and I'm sure they expect it. I want to move on to Arsenal, because fuck Chelsea, I've had enough of that.
Very, very quickly, sorry to cut you off. Last night I said give it to Gus Hiddink until the end of the season. You said you don't even know what he's up to and all them ones. Yeah? I thought, let me just Google Gus Hiddink. Yeah, but I've gone on his wiki page. He's 74. He's still a manager, bruv. He's managing. I don't know who he's managing. I can't even pronounce the name of the team. Curacao national team. I don't know who that is, bruv. The captain of their team is Cuco Martina. I think that's the guy that used to play for Southampton, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I know you.
I don't know what team this is, by the way. I've never heard of them. I don't know. Curacao, they're pronounced. I think they're over like St. Lucia, around them areas, bruv. Dominican Republic, and they won 10-0 against Granada. I think that's their biggest win. But yeah, he's still managing, bruv. So maybe you could go and get him back until the end of the season. He'd sort you out, bruv.
Yeah. Well, the final comment here: Lampard deserves time. I think no, Lampard, the player, the stature deserves time, but the manager, if we're going from a managerial standpoint,
exactly, sentiment. He deserves time based on what? Absolutely nothing. If that was Unai Emery as your manager, you'd want him sacked. If it was
100%, and I have no doubts, by the way,
ex-footballer of your football club, you'd want him sacked.
Man, with these stats, not playing Hudson-Odoi for weeks, playing 100% Chelsea fans would want him sacked. 100%.
He's had his time though. Any other Chelsea manager would have been sacked by Christmas.
Yeah,
big man, they would have been sacked by Christmas. The fact that he's even here on Wednesday, the 20th of January, shows that he's been afforded more time than any normal manager.
Yeah, and people are saying give him till the end of the season. We have to make Champions League.
Why?
We have to make, and again, I think people forget he doesn't have too much. I understand he's a massive figure at the club, but he has 1 year left on his contract after this season. I'm weighing up the pros and cons. What are we fighting for? Because a lot of things that Chelsea fans, and this is the final point I want to make before we move on to Ozil. Chelsea fans can be very selfish at times. He was very selfish bringing him in too early for his own managerial career and potentially, having him back in the Sky Sports punditry situation with Gary Neville if we don't actually, think about his managerial career as well, throwing him into the deep end when he's not ready. Now we're in a situation where we're free falling. And by the way, he's not looking like he's going to get himself out of it, because I spoke about that 2 weeks that was quoted that have not really done anything, right? And you've got Tottenham on the 3rd of February, where that's a massive fixture. You've got Wolves, big man team. Do you really see us getting points from those games? I don't know. But even still, my plan for Lampard when he was at Chelsea, this is his pinnacle job, and this is the pinnacle man to have at the club for Chelsea fans. My plan for him was to come here when he's actually got the experience and the know-how to deal with the situation and win titles. He's a winner. His standards are here. So why are Chelsea fans dropping their standards to here for a man whose standards have always been here? You know the man, you know the player. His standards have always been extremely high, and his own standards at the start of the season, he set them himself to be challenging. And like I said, I'll drop that to top 4 minimum. But this is a man based on standards, based on getting the best out of himself day in, day out in his life. The guy that scored 20 goals a season. You're pulling all of that emotion from his playing career, but you're not taking the actual values that he stood for and applying them to his management. You're allowing him to say, oh, if he finishes outside the top 4, it's okay. It's not okay with him. I can guarantee you Lampard's not sitting there thinking, do you know what? Yeah, if I finish outside the top 4, that's all right. That's cool. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. He knows what football club he's at.
This is the beginning of what Arsenal done for a decade or more, bruv. Sentiment FC. Yeah, it's killed my football club. The fans are just happy with mediocrity now. Welcome to the start of it, my friend, because this is the start. If your fans are all happy with Lampard, give him to the end of the season. Then at the end of the season, if you put a little run together like Wenger used to do every year, and you sneak in the top 4 somehow, oh, that's acceptable. We go again in the summer. Then it goes again. It's just a roundabout, like Turkish said before, bruv. And this is the start of it for Chelsea, because the fact in reality is, with the amount of money he spent in the summer, with the squad available to him, with the size of the football club, with the history of your football club in the last 15 years in terms of being the most successful in the league, how any Chelsea fan can sit and accept that Lampard is doing all right and give him a little bit more time? No. You've already lowered your standards, mate. Yeah, and this is the start of it. So yeah, I'm not going to say
I would love
my team is shit.
But like I said, I would love to give a manager time. I would love to do a project. I want to do all of those things, but you have to give it to a man who's got the experience of doing projects before. You don't make someone project manager at a company when on their CV they've got no experience of doing projects and rebuilding teams and implementing, or adapting in difficult times to get them through periods. It doesn't make any sense anymore. And when I can't make sense of something, I'm not going to bullshit and try and continue to ride the wave. At the end of the day, he doesn't have the experience to do what we're asking him to do. And you're and for me, again, it's very selfish to say just ride the wheels to the end of until it falls off in the hopefully the 25% chance that it works, because you're putting his managerial career on the line. I want Lampard to be a very successful manager. I'm not just looking for Chelsea here. I'm looking out for Lampard. I don't want him to just free fall and us to destroy his managerial career and him to be back in the Sky Sports studio. I want him to actually have a very great managerial career. So I don't want it to just keep going downhill. And it's very clear for me that he's out of his depth. His own quotes yesterday after the game said, I know the standards of this club and I can't tell you what's going to happen. That is a man that is on his way out. And I've said it for weeks.
He's worried. Like that. 100%. He knows he's getting sacked.
I've been saying for weeks in his quotes that he sounds like he's leaving. And he sounds like he knows that his time is coming towards an end. And people don't want to buy it because they feel like, oh, well, it's this, that, and the third. We don't have this, we don't have that. Like I said, we spoke about at the start of the season, we can challenge for the title. We have the best depth in the league. So where's the energy gone? Don't start saying, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. I understand the squad is not perfect, but it is better than West Ham. It is better than Leicester. We have a better squad to be doing. And what I'm asking for in top 4, I don't think is unreasonable. And from the moment that you think is unreasonable, maybe for me, your standards have just dropped to new levels that I've never heard of.
Go on. Yeah. I know you want to talk on Ozil, but just my last point on this is that 2 years ago, Leicester got rid of Claude Puel. And at the time, Leicester weren't doing the best, but they weren't exactly doing horrifically bad. But they were on a rut. I think they hadn't won a game in like 6 or 7 matches or something like that. A really, really poor record. They got rid of him and they brought in Brendan Rodgers. I thought that was harsh. I thought, okay, yeah, it's harsh. But one of my friends explained it to me perfectly. They're looking at the potential. They can see that this is a squad that are clearly performing lower than what it's expected to be. And you see Brendan Rodgers, he came into that team now, and you see Leicester. After Leicester won the league, they sort of divvied in and out, and we saw them as a steady side. You'll finish maybe 8th, 4th, 9th or something like that. That's a good season for Leicester. Brendan Rodgers comes now with the exact same crop of players, plus 1 or 2 here and there, and the standards go up immediately. And I think Frank Lampard is performing worse than Claude Puel did at Leicester, relative to what each club are aspiring to be and where they're working towards.
I mean, he has the worst win ratio of any Chelsea manager in the Roman era. I think he was below Scolari and VS Boas. And you know what? Yeah, I'm not one to just take stats and just run with them and say and not put context around them. But it's very hard to legislate for someone who has worse stats than VS Boas and Scolari and still say like I said, it's like a kid, and I always try and apply this stuff to real life. It's like a kid who's getting straight F's and E's, and then you expect A's. Like, what is the ceiling now? Is what I'm trying to establish. If the ceiling is Lampard finishing top 4, that's not really what I wanted him here for in the beginning. I wanted him to win stuff. I wanted to win a minimum a cup. So if the ceiling that we're fighting for is not that high, then why are we dragging it on? Like, what's the point? What are we fighting for? Because when you're getting E's and F's, you're not going to get A's. You're going to probably get maximum D's and low C's if you're lucky. If things, we talk about the table being tight. You have to beat the teams above you to get back into that. You just lost to Leicester. You have to beat teams to make that table tight argument of a thing to get yourself back into contention. We're not doing that. So, yeah, man. On to Ozil. Lee, you're having a great time. I've seen champagne and dashing expensive bottles.
With it. Come on, baby. He's gone, bro. I'm buzzing. I've just seen the news as well that we terminated Socrates' contract today as well. Wow. Maybe we are turning the corner.
Moving mad, yeah?
Yeah, maybe we're turning the corner, bruv. I don't
know. because you had a lot of like those kind of players, and I'm sure I spoke to Toby about this on Big Six before. Like your Cedrics, your like these man that just didn't warrant contracts. Like your even Chambers Holding. I don't get it, but if you're getting rid of, I'm very impressed. Not by the way that you have got rid of Ozil now. Not to say that I don't like Ozil. I think I like the player a lot more than you. But at the same time, he's been very inconsistent in his Arsenal career, and I did expect more from him. But I also side with the fact that I feel like you guys didn't build the team behind him in terms of the double pivot that we saw Everton build with Decore and Allen behind Hammers. I don't feel like you ever had that. So it's split 50-50 for me in terms of Ozil. So, and also I feel like he still could have brought something to your team in these times this season. But I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. Toby.
Okay. Would you have taken Ozil at Chelsea this season?
No.
There you go then. Exactly. Would you have him at Tottenham, Toby?
No, he's washed. Completely washed.
Thank you. And that's my point. I pissed off so many people by pouring that champagne down the sink. It was mad, bruv. Yeah. It's like people going, oh, it was definitely water in it. Yeah, look, he didn't even, because the clip that went around Twitter, yeah, it wasn't actually me popping the bottle. Yeah, it was just me pouring it down. So people going, oh, it was water. Well, I don't know why people get so upset. Like, it's not like Mesut Ozil sitting there crying over my video, is it? Do you know what I'm saying?
He's literally on a private jet to Turkey about to live life. He's bagged, 350k a week. He didn't get his contract paid out as well.
Wait, he's getting paid what? No way.
He was
no way
getting 350 grand at Arsenal a week to play Fortnite, bro.
Oh, Arsenal. Okay, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Not Fenerbahce. They can't afford that.
Yeah. He's taken a 280 grand a week pay cut.
Wow, that is big.
Purple
but you guys paid him out his contract, isn't it?
It's mad. But it took weeks and weeks for him to haggle over getting his loyalty bonus, and by having his contract terminated, he wouldn't have been eligible for that. Yeah. So I think they have made it. I think he's walked away with quite a bit of money, and good riddance, bruv. I'm absolutely sick to death of his fans. Yeah, his fans are a cult.
Scary.
Yeah, they are off, bruv. They are mad. Yeah, And the thing with him is, they're all in bits. Oh, he didn't get a send off. He did. Go and watch the stream.
Oh my God.
I'm over the moon that he's left, bro. And it's kind of damning that Arsenal haven't actually tweeted anything about it. Yeah. Like, I know it's
since that whole issue before, isn't it? They've never really backed him on social media at all because he's been tweeting about Arsenal and doing predictions and Gunners, but it's not really going anywhere, is it?
Certain player and still retweet a certain player, bro. They have not mentioned him one bit. Since God knows when. I can't even remember the last time. But you know what? Fenerbahce haven't actually officially announced it, I don't think.
Okay.
So they haven't said welcome Ozil. But listen, he's put it all over his Twitter. They've put it all over their Twitter. They even filmed him landing at Istanbul airport, bro. I've live streamed it.
I hope he doesn't fail the medical now. That'd be very embarrassing.
This is the thing. Like, if he does fail the medical, well, it ain't my issue anymore because we cancelled his contract, so he can't come back.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. If he fails the medical, tough. But yeah, I'm happy, man. I'm actually buzzing, bro, because for me, that's bigger than the day we sacked Wenger. And people are sitting there and say, "Oh, you didn't sack him." We did. We told him, "You better pack your stuff, otherwise we are sacking you, mate." Yeah, and that's why when he was in his press conferences, he had the raging ump all the way from April to the end of the season. Like when he announced that he was leaving, he had the raging ump, bruv. You could tell they pushed him and said, "Yo, either go or we're sacking you." So yeah, at least Wenger was good when he arrived. This guy's just been an overrated assist merchant. Like, assists to me don't mean shit, bruv. Like, I'll give an example. Yeah. Martinelli's goal. I use it every time. Martinelli's goal, bruv. Mustafi gets the assist. He was in our own 6-yard box. That is a fucking pass, not an assist. Yeah, Kieran Tierney putting one on a plate 1 yard out for Aubameyang. That is an assist. Yeah, you can't miss. You've assisted him. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They need to change the assist stats. Yeah, the way they use them, because if I pass you the ball and you go through 4 players and slap it top bins, that ain't an assist, bruv. That's a pass. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and he's made a whole career off of the back of 14-year-olds jizzing over assist stats because they've never seen proper footballers, bruv.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm buzzing he's left. I'm buzzing all of his fangirls are in bits, crying into their Wenger pajamas, looking at YouTube compilations of his passes, his assists, and all that crap. I'm buzzing, bruv, because now we have got rid of one of the. Well, he is not one. He is the most overrated footballer I've ever seen in my life, and he's cost his football club 150 million quid. So yeah, bye, Mesut.
Mad. I mean, before I get Toby's take, the only reason why I'm addressing this is because it's a super chat. But yeah, we've spoken about that earlier in the stream. Again, like I said, I wouldn't go with that narrative. Like I said, I feel like I wouldn't say Chelsea fans are spoiled by the way that they're. Huh?
I think that's a Goldbridge quote, by the way, that he's used.
Yeah, is it? Okay, well then, yeah, I'll respond to it anyway, even to Goldbridge. But yeah, I wouldn't say Chelsea fans are spoiled for not giving the project to someone who hasn't got the experience with projects. I'll put it like that, plain and simply. I think, like I said, a lot of people have seen enough. Tobs, thoughts on Ozil? Because that brother's been there for a while, man. Like, there's a lot of history there. Are you as harsh on him as Lee is?
No, I'm not as harsh on him as Lee is. But again, Lee's an Arsenal fan, so he's probably felt the pain more than I have. But yeah. I feel like with Mesut Ozil, it's a case of spoilt milk now. Like, it's spoilt milk. It's been rotten for probably the best part of 2.5 years now, and it just needs to be dashed in the bin. And I feel like that's been the case with Mesut Ozil, man. I felt it was stupid of Emery to not include him in the squad, even though we all know he was never going to be the answer. He was never going to be the solution for Arsenal. And I feel like with Mesut Ozil, the hunger has just completely gone away from this guy. Like, he was, before he joined Arsenal, he was one of my
unbelievable at Real Madrid.
He was honestly, honest to God, he was top 5 biggest, like, one of my favorite players on the planet. Like, I loved watching him at the World Cup. I loved him at Real Madrid. I loved him. You know when I loved him? I loved him at the 2010 World Cup. That young Germany side, when he was literally the fulcrum of creativity. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I remember it as well. Real Madrid had signed when he joined before he joined Arsenal. Real Madrid were obviously on the verge of signing Gareth Bale, and Daniel Levy tried to pull a fast one and see if he can get Ozil or Di Maria. And I was begging to God that we could sign Ozil, but of course he was never going to come to us because we didn't have the stature, we didn't have Champions League football. They had the stature, they had Champions League football, and when they signed him, it really burnt. And I'll be fair to Mesut Ozil. I think his first probably three and a half years, I think that was a good player. That was a good player with inconsistencies. I think his first season he was good overall, but he had major inconsistency issues, especially away from home. Second season, he was good again overall, major inconsistency issues away from home. Third season, he was class. Third season was brilliant. I think he got something like 19 assists alone in the league.
He was good up until he stopped creating chances, bruv.
It was.
Yeah.
So
Everyone blames Olivier Giroud for that, yeah? It says, he went on a goal drought. Bruv, he only created 2 chances for Giroud in 4 months in that goal drought, yeah? People forget this, innit? People just think, it's Giroud's fault. Bruv, I could go on Mastermind, bruv, and get a record points total on this guy. I'm like an encyclopedia of this guy because the amount of fangirls that have sent me all the stats and that of this bloke, right? Olivier Giroud has had more, Mesut Ozil has provided Olivier Giroud more assists than any footballer he's ever played with in his career. Yeah, and then people want to get on him. Like, I understand what you're saying, like looking at it from the outside, yeah? Bruv, this guy is the most frustrating footballer I've ever seen. Like, when you're going on a away trip and he's just walking around.
Yeah,
like,
this is what I'm talking about.
Walking around at Anfield, bruv. Then he's sitting on the floor, slamming his hand. You're getting battered at Anfield. Get up. Do you know what I'm saying?
This is the thing.
So annoying. And do you know
what I want to...
But this is what about Madrid. Brilliant footballer. He was dribbling. He was going past me. He's running with power. Bruv, we've never seen that at all at Arsenal.
Yeah, true.
At all. Yeah, that Madrid player has never come to the Emirates.
I agree to a certain extent because I don't think we've seen that Madrid play at all over a full season. I think there's probably maybe one season you could say, okay, I saw something like similar to that Real Madrid player, but I think over his stint, he definitely hasn't lived up to the billing. But the point I was trying to make is, I would say, if Ozil's career was defined by his first 3.5 years, maybe even 4 years at Arsenal, I would say overall that's good. It's not what you expected in terms of world-class performances every season, but I'd say overall for 42 million, you can't really be too mad at that. But what you saw after that was horrible. What you saw in the second half of that 17-18 season, second half of that 16-17 season, when Wenger could barely take this guy to any away match. That's how weak he was. And even in the games he played in some matches, invisible, absolutely invisible. And the annoying thing with me with Mesut Ozil was like the quality at that point was still there. Like, I know Lee, I know you're probably gonna give me a rebuttal, but I remember one game and I was there. I'm not sure if you were there as well. We went to we were playing you lot, and I remember we were in good form. We had just beaten Real Madrid. We were picking up form in the league. It was our first season at Wembley, and we were like, Arsenal aren't playing that well. Yeah, we're gonna come here. We're gonna do bits, and that was literally, I think that was like my first or second match watching live at the Emirates because it's very difficult to get tickets. But I went there thinking we were going to win, and Mesut Ozil was unplayable that day. Like, he tore us a new arsehole, like destroyed us. The game ended 2-0, but honestly, it could have been about 4 or 5-0, and we couldn't touch him. And I was thinking, this is scary. Like, how can you play this well and then drop a 0 out of 10 the next week? And that was the problem with Mesut Ozil in his last few years at Arsenal. Like, and even then, that performance was a rarity.
If you look at his performances in the big games, the big games, that guy ghosts 90% of them, maybe even more than 90%. Yeah, in the little games, he'll stat pad against Burnley with a pass, and people go, "Oh wow, you couldn't even see Kolasinac in the frame." Yeah, that's because you cropped the picture. Yeah, come on. Like, seriously, it's just like, bro, there's a guy in your chat, he's put a comment up time ago, like 5 minutes ago, saying, it says, no one tried to buy this great player, Ozil, in the last 5 years, case closed. But I put a tweet out the other day, and I said, I can't remember what it was, buy Mesut or whatever it was. And somebody said, oh no, that was it. Yeah, it was. It was something to do with Mesut Ozil. And somebody said, it was me putting out De Bruyne, saying he's the real assist king, yeah? He'd done the outside of the boot on the other day to Stones, right? And somebody said, yeah, but if Ozil played in that team, I said, what do you mean if Ozil played?
Ozil would never get into that team because he doesn't do enough work.
Thank you. Which was my point, that I said to this guy. I said, there's a reason that when they both run their contracts down, Man City bid 60 million for Alexis. Nobody came in for Mesut Ozil with 6 months.
And this is the point I want to make, is that the difference between Alexis and Ozil is that Alexis could drag Arsenal from the ground up.
Alexis is the best player we've had at the Emirates era, bruv.
Do you know what I mean? For me, Alexis was worth any hassle because he could drag you to. He was like Eden Hazard was for us, where if we couldn't get the win, Alexis could drag you to a win with his individual brilliance. And when you pay someone £350,000 a week, that's the level. You're talking about, you're getting paid one of the top earners in the world. You have to be able to drag your team at times. And I felt like too many times Ozil was a passenger, like you said, away days to Liverpool and whatnot. He didn't bring enough things in all aspects of the game. Yes, he had the passing. Yes, he could make his team play incredible football and do incredible plays at times in terms of team play. And you could score beautiful goals at home to Leicester at the Emirates on a sunny day. But when the going got tough and it was squeaky bum time, as they say, he didn't step up enough for me for how much his whole brand, his whole name, everything that comes with it. You know, the fact that he plays a free role, and in the modern day, there's very few that can still play that role and get away with it in top teams. You need off the ball contribution. And because he doesn't contribute anything really off the ball, when you're on the ball in tough games, you have to stand up and be counted for. And I think too many times that didn't happen. So that's why.
The funny thing about it is people bang on about his assists and all this and that, yeah? Go and have a look at Alexis Sanchez and see how many assists he got for Arsenal, because he ain't a million miles behind Ozil. Yeah, but he also added goals for fun, bruv. Yeah,
also the work rate off the ball as well.
Against West Ham, where he chipped the keeper, but he went to fake shoot it.
Yeah.
Well, the guy, I was right behind a goal that he scored against Cologne. Yeah, the night Cologne fans stormed our stadium and the game got put back another hour. Right, bruv, that game, man, the ball, I was right behind it, row 6. Yeah, I knew it was in before he slapped it from 25 yards. You could just see it arcing it. Bruv, he was just such a sick player.
I remember that.
Nobody ever compare them two and say Ozil's better. I'm sorry, I ain't having it, bruv. Don't care what he did for Germany. Don't care what he did for Madrid. It's what he done for my club.
You know what as well with Ozil, like the point I was going to make is that he had a lot of good moments at Arsenal, but they were crowded out by the vast number of horrible moments. And I feel like his last 3.5 years at the club massively out. His last 3.5 years of utter rubbish massively outweigh anything he did in these.
Good.
So for me now, you cannot consider that signing a success. It's not a success at all. And more on that as well. I think with Mesut Ozil as well, I feel like you said, Lee, a lot of your fan base are quite romantic with him, and they like to talk about him as if they had the Roman Mesut Ozil. I see some polls the other day about they had a poll of like who's going to leave Arsenal the greater legacy, and I saw Cesc Fabregas there, Alexis Sanchez, and Mesut Ozil. And I was thinking, what? Why is he in the conversation? Why is he in the conversation with these two players? Like, those other two players have done significantly more for Arsenal. Like,
what people forget about Alexis Sanchez, as brilliant as he was on the ball, off the ball, his work rate
was mad.
Was unbelievable. Like, we speak about brilliant work rate.
Sanchez, it's more about Cesc Fabregas.
Cesc Fabregas was brilliant. I think the reason why Cesc Fabregas gets clouded is because he went to Chelsea and he also Barcelona as well.
But Matisse, he did go to Chelsea, but so did fucking Manu Petit. Nobody cries about Petit going to Chelsea.
100%.
And he went the same route via Barcelona.
100%. I think Sanchez, for me, like I said, what he did off the ball, he just gave you, when you're on the ball and off the ball, he gave you a player. We talk about Willian's work rate. I love all the work rate stuff. 100%. Put the graft in. We need that in top teams. But Sanchez could do that, but with the output. That's what Willian didn't have, and that's what pissed me off at Chelsea. We act like as if a player has to have, they have the work rate, but they can't have the end products. Alexis Sanchez proves that you can have both. That's what you should be looking for. I'm only doing Lampard updates at this point because Mandem are going mad in the chat about Simon Phillips' recent tweet. Basically, the tweet says, and really just to update the chat so you guys know what's going on in the here and now. No decision has been made on Frank Lampard yet, but the board are furious with what is going on, and something could happen.
Sayonara.
Yeah, it could
Adios,
happening.
amigos.
Let me finish the quote.
Good. Right.
He's off, bro. He's gone.
You know what the madness is, though?
Depressing.
That just shows who the big club here is, because you're sacking your club legend, and
So
we're
depressing.
sitting talking around about a process with Tapas Pulis, bro.
It's so depressing. With just to finish the quote, this is depressing to read. The fact that, because the thing is, I've done so much propaganda for Lampard and the team at the start of the season. I never thought it'd ever come to this, but obviously I was late to the
Yeah,
party.
you need to be deleting tweets later, boy.
I'm not even deleting them. I'm standing tall with my propaganda. Do you know what I mean? I backed it to the ends. I wanted it to succeed, but like I said, these quotes are damning. But based on the board. But the board are furious, and with what is going on, and something could happen in the coming hours. That's from Fabrizio Romano on the podcast Here We Go. So he is very well informed. We know Fabrizio is not a joke. So when Fabrizio speaks, you have to listen. Yeah, it's a massive shame. But like I said, I believe that decision has to be taken. And I'm not, like I said, we spoke earlier. I'm not Tuchel's biggest fan. Like I said, I don't follow him closely enough to speak on him. I've got mixed reviews, but he would be doing a better job in my opinion, and he would be getting a better tune out of these players. But the title of the stream was all about sentiment, and we've gone through the two big sentiments at Chelsea and Arsenal. Tottenham, is there anything at Tottenham sentiment wise, Toby?
Christian Eriksen, maybe. He's been linked with us.
Yes,
a lot of fans want him back. A lot of fans don't want him back. I guess there's probably some sentiment there as well. Yeah.
I think it's interesting because it looks like Dele Alli could potentially go to PSG and then you replace him with Christian Eriksen. But I remember, and obviously it just helps because you had that documentary that went out. Eriksen was what? On the peripherals of the squad when he was here, kind of like really wanted to venture and move out. And then it seemed like he was disappointed with the offers that he got, but he eventually left. Is that the type, and not to stir the pot here, but is that the type of mentality that you want to bring back into the team? Because from my understanding, it was that Christian Eriksen thought like he could do better and he wanted to leave, and he just wanted a new challenge. Why bring that type of guy who literally just a year ago wanted to leave, now suddenly wants to come back? For what reason? I don't know. We've seen sentiment get in the way at Tottenham already with Gareth Bale and him coming back and potentially trying to reignite old flames. And, let's try and maybe it's just a shirt sell thing as well, because I'm sure those shirts sell beautifully. But this sentiment of Gareth Bale coming back, that didn't work. Eriksen coming back, does that make any sense to you, or do you think that that's something in your squad you're lacking? Because we have spoken about potentially needing a 10 or a playmaker to allow Ndombele to drop deeper and all of these things. So you are lacking in that department potentially.
We need him back. It's that simple. We need him back. And when I say we need him back, I only say that because from everything you've read, we don't have the money to go out and sign Sabitzer. We don't have the money to go out and sign a number 10 now. I feel like us signing that additional creative force is very much dependent on how we do this season. So the season needs to finish. And we need to get into the Champions League, and we need to try and win the trophy, try and get as high up that table as possible and get the funds coming in for us to reinvest into the squad. In the ideal world, I want Sabitzer. I don't want Eriksen. I don't want Eriksen over Sabitzer. I want a few players over Eriksen, to be honest. But the problem is we are not in a position where we can demand who we want and when we want them and how we want them. The issue is, like you said, we need creativity in that team. And a lot of Spurs fans are only seeing this now. I said it back then. I said it even before Eriksen left. When we brought in Giovanni Lo Celso, he was brought in to compete with Eriksen. He is not a playmaker. He's not someone who can play those intricate passes the way Eriksen can play them. And I feel like with us now, with Eriksen leaving, we didn't replace him. We didn't. Yeah. So I know he was playing like a slapped ass when he left us. But essentially, a normal Eriksen, that's double figures in goals, double figures in assists. We've just let that go. We've not replaced it. So you see the chasm there. And my issue now is that a couple months have gone by. We're having to play Ndombele there. Dele Alli is seemingly on his way out. And even when he plays, he's not that traditional playmaker. He's not Eriksen. Do you get what I'm saying? He's not, so he can create chances, but he ain't a playmaker.
I always felt like Dele Alli was how Poch used him, which is running off the forward, getting in the box, getting goals from headers was he managed to really develop his heading technique. He was a late arriver into the box. He played off Kane a bit. Kind of did similar to what Son is doing in a sense. Did it differently, but similar. But to stick him in the 10 and ask him to create chances, I thought, they worked it well, where they allowed Ali to run beyond Kane and they had Eriksen tuck in and create the chances in behind. And I think asking Ali to be that creator for me doesn't work, bro. He doesn't have that range of passing, that creativity that you look for.
You're right, and as I said, there's a difference. As I said, and a lot of people need to discern the difference between creating chances and being creative. You can create a chance, you can get an assist by being in the right place at the right time and squaring it across the box to your striker. But the difference between creating chances and being a playmaker is Eriksen sees passes Dele Alli can't see. Eriksen sees passes that Giovanni Lo Celso can't see. Sabitzer has a ridiculous pass. Well, I say a good passing range that neither Ali or Lo Celso have. So my thing is this: Lo Celso is injury prone. He's a sick note anyway. Ali's out of favor with the manager, and he's seemingly on his way out. Ndombele and Harry Kane cannot be our only source of creativity. We've got the added boost of getting creativity from our fullbacks now because we've got Reguilon and Sergio, but we need more in the middle of the park. And when we're playing a 4-2-3-1, I want to see Ndombele in his best position. And for us to get Ndombele in his best position, we need someone to play that sort of advanced role, whether that's in an advanced 4-3-3 or whether it's a 4-2-3-1. And Eriksen on a 6-month loan deal with no obligation to buy, I don't see the risk. I don't see the risk at all. Because he's someone who can create. He's someone who has experience playing with our team. He's someone who just wants to play football again. And for me personally, he didn't leave. The only thing sour about the way he left was his performances. I didn't like those shocking performances in the last 6 to 7 months because his heart went in it. And by all accounts, he was dipping as a player. Like his form has nosedived over the years. But in terms of his actual quality, his ability on the ball, I don't think he's lost that yet. I think he's very much able to still pick a pass, to still cut teams open. He just needs some game time. So it's a marriage of convenience for me. We need the player, or we need a player like that. He needs some game time.
Yeah. Put
2 and 2 together, get 4, and let him get in on a 6-month loan deal. We don't have the money to spend, and we need a player like that. Inter are willing to loan him out if we oblige to pay all the wages. Pay the wages. Simple.
That's another point, is you guys are not exactly running around with loads of money as well. So just cost effective wise, it makes sense for you. Jared, thank you for the super chat, bro. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Lee, what's your take on Eriksen? Because he was kind of like a talisman in a way for Tottenham back when he was at his best. I think it's obviously it's a worry, not worry because obviously not my team, but in terms of his mentality, the way that it ended is questionable. But when he was at his best, he was a talisman. You could rely on him to shoot from distance and bail you out against a low block with either his creativity or his goal scoring. Do you think that's because obviously I'm not saying he's similar to Ozil because I think he does work a little bit harder, but he is that number 10 free role. Do you think that that's the kind of player that they need to, obviously as an Arsenal fan, you don't want to see it, but cement their place in the top 4? Or do you feel like that's, again, sentiment is running with the Tottenham fans a bit?
Hard one, man. I see something Sky Sports put up the other day. You were just saying, Toby, about creating chances and stuff like that. Since Ozil came to the Premier League, Christian Eriksen created more chances than anyone. Yeah, but he didn't get that tag of the assist king and this and that, even though he's got more assists than Ozil as well, by the way, in the league. He doesn't get that because Tottenham ultimately didn't go on and win anything. Yeah, and he didn't have the PR team behind him and stuff. Eriksen's a sick baller, bruv. I used to hate the fact he played for you lot, especially when I looked at our number 10, innit? Yeah, your number 10 could ping 3 kicks in the top corner, bruv. Ours couldn't even kick a ball more than 20 yards. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I think if he went to Tottenham, I think that would cement top 4, if I'm honest. I think I'm kind of 90% confident that they're going to get top 4 anyway. So I think Dele Alli, he has to go, bruv. Like there's no space for him in that team. If it's PSG, then see you later. If you can get his wages off your wage bill for 6 months and get Eriksen's back on it, why not? Yeah, because Eriksen's a better footballer than Ali will ever be, bruv. So yeah, I think it's a no-brainer.
I think so as well. The thing is, I like Ali. I still think I know we spoke about him last week, and Matisse was speaking about him briefly. But I still think he's a good player. But I do agree with you, Lee. whether we like it or not, whatever his issues with Mourinho, whatever his issues with injury, he simply hasn't been good enough the last 2 years. And I feel like we're now in a position where the club need more than what he offers us in that position. We know that he's a goal threat, but we need more than that. We need a bit more versatility. We need our team to be able to adapt. And I feel like when you play Dele Alli in the team right now, you can only play one fixed way, and that doesn't really suit us anymore. So for me, he's not getting game time. He's out of favor of Mourinho. Sell him, get the money off him, put it in your back pocket, get Eriksen on loan for 6 months, nail down a top 3, top 4 spot, and then look to properly address the areas that you need to address in the summer. Look at Gareth Bale now. He's been a bust. He's been crap. He's going to be sent out back to Real Madrid. I'm still hoping he can come good. I'm still not giving up completely because there's still some quality there that we can squeeze out in the league. But I feel like it makes sense. Get rid of Ali, bring Eriksen in if you ain't got the money for Sabitzer, and just try and get Champions League football. It doesn't need to be a sentiment thing. Eriksen was with us for 6.5 years, and in that stint, he was our second best player. It's only until recent years, maybe the last 2-3 years, that Sonny has emerged as our second player. Yes, but if I want to date it back to 2013 when he joined us through to 2020 when he left us, you'd be hard pressed to find any player past Harry Kane and maybe Sonny and maybe Jan Vertonghen, who you can actually say bona fide has been better than Christian Eriksen for us. You've seen what he's done for us. You've seen what he's capable of. Yes, he's fell off. Yes, he's not the same Eriksen, but he still has that bit of quality that we need, which is creativity. So get him in. What we debating this over? And
it's and really, like you're saying, to conclude, it's a low risk deal. You're not putting too much on the line. You're not buying him outright. It's a loan deal, and if it's the difference between you getting Champions League football, then the money that you're going to gain from the situation is actually worth it. People, it's been a brilliant show. We've been going for nearly an hour and a half, so we're going to wrap up soon. We've obviously tackled Frank Lampard, which was obviously the main meat and mash of the situation because obviously last night's result, and that's really what dominates the headlines today. Ozil as well, and then Eriksen a bit at the end, but obviously the title, in terms of sentimental, does it heap on clubs? Does it make clubs decline? And obviously, we've spoken on it a lot here. It's been a mad show, man. And to be honest, like I said, I don't enjoy this topic. I'm gonna have to hold it on Big Six on Friday. We've been having a little group chat. I know Lee was there live with us last time. Saeed is ready for shots.
Bro, we're ready. And hopefully if this news filters through and it gets confirmed before Friday, woo, it's gonna be sweet. If Frank Lampard gets the sack before Friday, I'm coming there in a Chelsea top. I'm coming there.
Are you taking the piss? What, wearing it?
Yeah, I might come there in a Chelsea top. Yeah.
I would never stick a Tottenham top on my body, like never.
Nah, same. I can't lie, bro. I wouldn't stick any of your tops on me, mate. No,
that would be that. I'd rather sit in a ball of flames. But
that would be funny though, man.
It would be funny. I'm not gonna lie. Viewership is going to go up.
That'd be even funnier if you had Lampard written on it, but wore it back to the front.
Do you know what it is? Yeah. Do you know what it is? Is that like I said, I try. Obviously, it's nuts. I never expected it to. I wouldn't say I expected him to win a Premier League or a Champions League. I hoped, but I didn't expect it because like I said, you're jumping from too low down in your you haven't got the pedigree and the experience to just do from that to that. Do you know what I mean? We talk about Zidane and managers like that, but that's very freakish. That only happens with a few. There's always a few, in a class of 100. Do you know what I mean? There's more Gary Nevilles than there is Zidane's, but it's just such a shame, man, that it's going to end probably this soon. And to be honest, in the position that I'm in, I'd rather it end today, get out of the way, and move on. I don't want them to drag it out. I don't want them to take it to Luton. I don't want them to take it to Burnley, to Wolves. Because for me, as the reports have suggested weeks ago, the writing is already on the wall. He's already kind of done. Do you know what I mean? They're looking at, when you start calling another man, do you know what I mean? When you start calling other managers, you're not gonna. That's it. You're already going.
Because I feel like the longer he's there, the better chances we have of getting a Champions League. I think as long as he's there, maybe Arsenal can even steal him up.
And for me, when rival fans start saying that, it's mad.
So the longer he stays there, the better it is for the rest of the league, because we know that a competent manager will get more out of this team. So
yeah.
long may it continue. I hope they drag it on. I hope they drag it on till February, hopefully.
Yeah, there's been mad amounts of rival fans in the chat saying give Lampard more time. I do see you. But like I said all along, I've got huge respect for the man. It doesn't tarnish his legacy as a manager, but I feel like even it's best for him that he goes now as well, and he don't continue the free fall. You still got a managerial career to look after and to go into. You know what I mean? Drop down to another club, maybe go abroad, learn the game, get more experience. 10 years time, we never know. You're still very young. Don't hang on to this thing of trying to like come out the trenches, because to be honest, and especially with, if you had prime John Terry in the squad, prime Diego Costa, I'd say, maybe the playing squad and the characters could also get you out. But we've spoken about the playing team. They don't have the characters to help a man like this, who's so inexperienced and really out of his depth in this situation, to get out of that. There's no one in the club, in that playing staff, from coaching to manager to playing squad, mentality wise and character wise, to get yourself out of this. So you're all going down together at this point. It's been a great show. Toby, let them know where they can find you, bro. Second upload went out, I think, isn't it, on your channel? What's that? How many uploads? Is it 2 or 3 on there?
2. I've done 2 uploads. I've got my 3rd one coming up, maybe like this weekend or something, or next Monday or something. But I need to add more shows. I need to add more regular shows. But
what you need to do is when Lampard gets sacked, bro, live stream.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I might have to be honest. But find me on Tottenham Tobs. I think the name, I'm probably gonna need to change the name soon. Matisse already knows all about that. But just like yo. I'm gonna change my name soon. It will be Sutton Tobes anyway, or Tobe Sutton. But yeah, find me on Tottenham Tobs, one word, on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Twitter. And
Lee, my guy, Rat Army, strong in the chat as per usual. Spam your emojis now before we head out, and stick around for the outro, because I'm not gonna lie, the intro was sick. If you guys missed it, the intro I think for this show is looking sick. It's perfect for me in terms of what the show is about.
Your budget is your price is going up, Matisse. You know what I'm
saying? You have to invest for success. You know what I mean? And for me, you have to invest for success. And for me, the show is so good, and there's so much logic, and it's not based on bias, and it's just real talk. And do you know what I mean? Even myself, I've tried, and do you know what I mean? But I've got to that point where I'm like, yo, I need to talk on the situation. Rat on me, spam in the chat. Lee, let them know where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, man. Lee Gunner on YouTube. I'll be dropping a video. It won't be a live stream because I need to go and have my little siesta, bruv. So yeah, I'll be dropping a video in the next 25-30 minutes. And Lee Gunner 82 on Insta, Twitter, and Twitch. Lee Gunner AFC on Facebook. Tonight at 9 p.m. Expressions is on live stream on my channel. So that should be lit. And big up to him, and big up to you guys. Big up to everyone in the chat. And thanks for having us on again. I know it's a weekly thing, but I say thank you every week anyway, because I've got manners. And big up to Tobes as well. Arteta out, you already know, bruv.
Well, thank you guys for joining me. Like I said, the weekly show is popping. Now we got the outro as well. Mandem, I'll see you next week. And hopefully, I'm not going to lie, hopefully, because I think by that time Chelsea would have played. Well, we will be playing Burnley, so I just hope we have a new situation to talk about, because, yeah, it's going to be mad. In a bit, people.